And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Joe Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts, and on radio stations worldwide. Our latest episode covered the big hit for Netflix, the One Piece anime live action adaptation. Hear my thoughts on it on this week's Pop Culture Cosmos. Plus, we talk about the box office, of course, everything going on with PlayStation, Nintendo, and so much more. So go ahead and check it out today. Also, as well, Inside Sports Fantasy Football. We covered week 2 in the NFL. Guess what we're doing this week? We're also going to go ahead and cover week 3 in the NFL. There's more major injuries to cover. Plus, we're going to tell you why it's actually a little too early to panic. But I know people are already with their fantasy football teams, but we'll tell you why you don't need to panic just yet on Inside Sports Fantasy Football. Plus, also as well, LakersBall.com. Joe Soro, who is watching the Steelers right now in a battle, I guess you could say, because it's end of the third quarter and they're down by 3. So you know he is distracted, but he's always able to go ahead and chit chat if he's not here at LakersBall.com, Sox47, and go ahead and support him today at Simblades, Simblades with the Y.com. Also, as well, go ahead and check out Empire Jeff TV. I know he covered Winning Time in a great article on one of his Substacks. Plus, also, as well, go ahead and check out what he said earlier today. Hopefully, he'll join us for some more thoughts on Winning Time. Go ahead and check out and subscribe today to Empire Jeff TV. Plus, our good friend, also as well, John McCallion. Hope he is well. Got a chance to check out a couple of his streams in the past week, so go ahead and check out what he's doing today at John McCallion at YouTube. And speaking of YouTube, please, it would be greatly appreciated if you haven't already, if you just go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Don't worry, Joe with the beady eyes right there in the corner of your screen is not that scary. He says he is, but we all know the truth. So go ahead and click on it today to go ahead and get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air with the latest Lakers Fast Break podcast. And Search is in the chat. Great to have him here. Truly appreciate it. The best there is at moderating YouTube channels. Just cannot thank him enough for all the time he spends with us. But today is a very solemn day, as well, actually, if you got a chance to check out the last episode on Max of the season 2 for Winning Time, you will know that I posted as that show was ending that the Wrap had already reported that it's a wrap on the series Winning Time, as it was canceled by Max. And here today to discuss that is a good man indeed. It's the madman from Toronto. He did get out of Toronto traffic to go ahead and talk to me about Winning Time. Plus, is a return in order for Dwight Howard? We'll go ahead and discuss that as well. It is the Magic Man, Sean Grice. And Magic Man, great to have you here. I wanted to go ahead and let everybody know I tried to reach out to Jeff Pearlman once again, who has been on the show twice before. He did not respond to me back during the middle of the season when he was asking for help to be on people's shows. I reached out to him again earlier today to go ahead and see if he could hop on this show to go ahead and share his thoughts like he did on his own podcast last night. But I wanted to quote him exactly if that's the case. John, as I bring you in here, his words are, right now, the cancellation has been a pretty rough experience, and I'll grant you that. So he's going to pass, but he appreciates the offer for that. So no Jeff Pearlman. He is obviously devastated because as a producer for season 2 and the guy who wrote the book that is the impetus for what we saw with Winning Time, he is obviously very sad. He got to play a role in, I believe, episode 5, if I remember correctly. So he is obviously very proud of his achievement and working with all great individuals. But despite all the great acting and all the stuff that went on in the show, the fact that I liked the show better than season 1. In season 2, I thought it was better. I thought it progressed better. I thought it was less over the top. And I still thought it was good in season 1. Don't get me wrong. I thought it was good in season 1. I just thought it was better in season 2. I thought it was really starting to find a home Unfortunately, the legs got cut out from under it, and we'll explain why it wasn't really that hard of a choice for Max.
Yeah, at the end of the day, Drill's gonna give some just brutal truths about why this happened, but nevertheless, Gerald, I feel really bad for Jeff Pearlman. It's a bummer. It really is. Like on a personal level, just to see something that you tried to encapsulate so well in a book, and to see that source material used uh, as a sleek look, Gerald. I mean, given the fact that it is canceled, they really did their best, Adam McKay and the group, to try and make it actually look like it's a real basketball game out there. Like right down from the sneakers to the socks to the inseams on the uniforms. They really did a nice job of trying to make it look real. And some of the obviously it was a dramatization. So when it was first released, Gerald, there were several Lakers legends, including Magic, Kareem, and Jerry West, who all um, basically said that they were not fans of the upcoming material. They weren't interviewed or asked for their input at all, and all three of them felt that it wouldn't have been a fair portrayal of who they see themselves as. I mean, that's a different story in and of itself, Gerald, but the fact of the matter is that the first season also had an advantage, right, of being released in March, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
right, alongside of March Madness. So you've got kind of a conflation of a passion and an interest level that's really high in basketball, and you release the Showtime series that helped kind of kickstart. Uh, no, you don't
Well,
agree?
there was a wave of Laker stuff going on there with the Magic Johnson doc and what was
Mm-hmm.
going on. There was three separate Laker
Right,
related
right. You're
entities
right.
last year
Yes.
going on in a similar time frame last year. This year, putting it in and around the NFL season was not too bright as far as when
No.
it debuts. Obviously, you could check it out anytime after it premieres. But let's get down to the facts, my friend. The fact is, in season two, reports have it. In fact, I saw an LA Times article that indicated that the attendance, the viewership, the initial viewership for it, which they categorized within the first 24 hours, was down by nearly half. And Jeff Pearlman, as a producer, he saw the numbers. He already knew what was going on. That's why, in the middle of the series of this season, he already reached out and was begging to go on other people's shows.
And hit the last line of his
Yes,
tweet,
and
Gerald, was HBO cares about the numbers.
yes, and begging people to go ahead and watch this. The thing is also it's an indication to everyone out there that no matter how good the series is, no matter how well done, no matter how well made it is, no matter what your thoughts on as far as a dramatization, whether or not you think it's good or bad, the fact is it's a Lakers centric series. No matter how many Lakers fans around the world that are watching it, you got to remember that it's a Lakers centric series, and the fascination for it from last year was not just Lakers fans, but people just wanting to watch dramas, wanting to watch anything as far as material, something that was new out there. So there was interest in it. Second season comes around, you lose all that casual viewing audience, my friend, and all you have left are just for the most part. All you have for the most part are basically Lakers fans and people that are just really watching because it's max material. But you just the casual audience left in season two, and that's a death knell, my friend. And it also says a sign for anyone that wants to go ahead and make a Yankees series or a Dallas Cowboys series or any other team popular centric series like that, if they ever want to go ahead into this again, please note it's a novelty for a season or for a period of time, but that novelty for a casual audience goes away, and all you have left are the hardcores that are watching this show like us.
Yeah, you're right, Gerald. So, like you said, when you lose the casual audience, that's it. That's shut the door, turn the lights out. It's over, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So obviously that happened, and look, I understand. There was also a case to be made that they couldn't really promote it because of the strikes. Um, but you could also say the same thing about Barbie and Oppenheimer, and they did fantastic. So maybe that argument doesn't hold water in the current climate we're in, Gerald, because
What
other
argument?
that somehow the lack of publicity and promotion due to the strike
Yeah,
hurt
yeah. Well, I
them.
mean, that did her a little bit. Obviously, as much as we like to go ahead and, in fact, when I deal with the pop culture cosmos, we like to tease actors and actresses when they've come on the show, and I have interviewed before as far as coming through the car wash, because by the time they get to me, they're on their probably like 500th interview. Liz Priestley, who I just replayed her interview last week, was a tremendous guest, but
Hmm.
she had already done the route as far as so many people because her PR had her going
Right.
all over the place. It's the thing is though that we realize this it's important now in the days and ages where the strike is ongoing. It is important to an extent that these stars do promote this, the Tom Cruises, whatever the names you want to go ahead and pass around, that despite, whatever they're eating hot chicken wings or they're showing up on the Today Show or whatever, it is important to a casual audience that, oh, their movies coming out this weekend or their TV series coming out this weekend, or when they go ahead on those late night talk shows, oh my gosh, their series is coming up or their series is on now. I better go ahead and check it out, because not no matter how many commercials that they run, and Max ran little bit, a few commercials for it. They ran much more last year for it. They did a lot more pub work on it last year, even without the stars. I just noticed a lot more commercial work being done for last year. They had their heart in it last year. They didn't really have their heart as much into it this year.
No, you're right. You're right about that. That was definitely missing, and I agree with you from the writing and continuity point of view. But I also feel that unfortunately, they had to cram a lot of history into a very finite period of
But they
time.
had still so much more to go
But
throughout the
yeah, you're
1980s,
right.
then go
Yes.
into the 1990s a little bit, the dog days of the 1990s, then you get into the late 90s and early 2000s. There's so much more that they could have done with this series. I think that again, when it comes right down to it, it's again a Lakers centric show. No matter how much they try to just say it's a drama, it's a drama, it's a drama. It is a Lakers centric show. And no matter how much, the Lakers are popular, because the Lakers are one of the most popular uh, teams worldwide. And, I know that the question was put in the chat by TTW as far as how much was it broadcast internationally. I know that they have agreements overseas as far as with international distribution groups, and Max is on, several countries, it does have broadcasting rights internationally. I don't know how much spread it was or available spread to a worldwide audience, but I know it was to an extent. I just know for the fact that here domestically, it is the largest television viewing audience. It is so imperative that the U.S. audience is first and foremost. And even though, well, for instance, like the Squid Games. Squid Games obviously blew up internationally before it blew up here in the States. That
Mhm.
so it already had sealed its fate as far as success is concerned before it even came to America or even blew up in America. In the case of this, it really had to go ahead and just blow up here first and just stay consistently good here first before it was going to go ahead and connect. Like for instance, the Philippines. I'm sure somehow, some way, it's gotten to be able to distribute to the Philippines, but obviously that wasn't enough. Again, it's a Lakers centric show, and I know we're Lakers fans, we're going to follow it, but no matter how much Max tried to push it as a drama, it just seems like that casual audience just took off and just never came back.
Yeah, Gerald. When you catch fire, you need to keep the heat up, right? So
Yeah.
it looks like they couldn't do it. Um, Obviously, for the myriad of reasons you've mentioned, but for the most part, I mean, like you said, Gerald, it's a subgenre of a genre that's very, very passionate, but yet it doesn't have the kind of the curb appeal you were talking about. Lost the curb appeal.
Yeah, I mean, put in your favorite team, whether it's Golden State Warriors, whether it's Yankees, whether it's Dallas Cowboys, whether it's Inter Milan, whether it's just put ever team. It's only going to have a certain niche to a certain amount of audience for a certain amount of time. Getting over to the fact is what makes, and I've always said this on the Pop Culture Cosmos, what makes a show or a movie a hit is that it not just gets to its hardcore, I'm going to be their audience, it gets over to a general consumer. Once it gets to a general consumer, whether it's a movie, television show, video game, book, whatever, that's when you have a truly successful product. And it was for the first year a truly successful product because there were people that were not Lakers fans watching this show or basketball fans watching this show. But once you saw season two wasn't heavily promoted, and even though it is ultimately, I think in my terms, a better season than season one, which I thought was still pretty good, still think, and unfortunately, it just would not stay connected to that audience. And that's the problem. You got to go ahead and keep on connected. Like, for instance, Loki. Loki's coming out in here in a couple of weeks on Disney Plus. We'll see if that is just going to go ahead and continue to grab a larger audience than just the Marvel audience. Because right now, with all the failures that Marvel's had over the past 18 months, Loki is one of the few success stories because it reached out and branched out to a larger casual audience. Hopefully, it'll find that again for season two. But I think, again, they do need to be warned and need to see what happened with Winning Time of what you do if you cannot promote it the way you need to promote it.
Yeah, yeah, and Gerald, it's funny how life works out too, because I remember in high school there was a really great sports themed program that was released, and it was called Playmakers on
Yeah.
Showtime, and that got iced very quickly, but not for the reasons that people would think. It was actually very successful, and word of mouth spread. But the fact is, it was too closely related to what actually happens in NFL locker rooms, Gerald, and the NFL wasn't going to have any of that.
Well,
So,
let me say this here. We're high octane and read that comment there, Sean. Gerald, I agree, but they put the show on a premium channel. These shows should go on regular cable to garner more success. I agree and I disagree with that statement. So let's take a look at Time Warner. What do they have as far as cable outlets right now? They have TBS, TNT, and that's pretty much the two major ones that they have. The two major, they have other smaller channels, like
right,
the
US.
no, I don't think USA Channel is theirs.
Okay, all right,
But
okay.
I think like for instance, the old film channel is the one that shows all the films, the classic film
Oh,
channels,
Turner
Turner
Classic
Net,
Night
yeah.
Movies,
Although
TCM. Okay,
there's some other smaller stuff that they
that's the
do.
one I was thinking of. Okay.
But the weird thing I'm saying here is with this show, in its content, in its basis, with its adult themes, would it have been able to go on TNT and TBS?
No,
It would
no.
probably been altered somewhat.
Yeah, it
And
would have been had to have been.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm just gonna say, you might not have gotten the same feel there. But second of all, Max is actually available. I think 80 million subscribers in that
Mhm.
range was their last.
Yeah.
Was not in that range was their last reported as far as viewership. So the percentage of what you should be getting for a show like this, if it's only getting what I think the last report was like anywhere right around half a million viewers,
Yeah.
right around there, 600,000 viewers, and you can only grab that out of the 80 million that's actually watching, that's not great at all, especially
No.
for a series that Max is supposed to have right out there as one of the current major series that they're running. You take that to a One Piece, where I just talked about earlier at the beginning of the show with Netflix, that's got tens of millions. That's about 30 some odd hours, million, 30 million some odd hours already watched, by Netflix because it has a
Mhm.
reach of 220 million subscribers. So it all depends, high octane, when, and a PB. Shut up. That's all I got for you, man. But when it comes to what you're seeing with Netflix, they're able to create successes, and for them, it's not just how many people watch the first episode, but how many watch all the way through and that they binge because they have a different way of doing things with their binge style of programming. I think when it comes down to it, Winning Time should have been able to go ahead and you know do a better. But I think the timing of when it was shown, the fact there was a lack of, just so many factors working against it. I know Max needed some type of new programming to throw out there to their audience to justify its existence, but throwing it like it did out there was just sending it out to lose for losing time.
Yeah, it felt like it was sink or swim, that they really, that there were whispers in January from an article I read, Gerald, that said that they were thinking that this might be a possibility.
Yeah.
Um, so yes, it looks like season one had about almost a million, and then, like Gerald was saying, season two's premiere had about 625,000, which is a big dip.
I think
That
it was a promotion issue. I think some of that's Sky Dwellers in play, but also the fact that, again, it's a niche show. So, the Lakers contingent had to keep with it because the casual audience was just probably not going to stay with it regardless because it is a Lakers show. People will see it and they see anybody that's outside of us that's watching, we see as Winning Time. A lot of other people out there are probably identifying it as the Lakers series. So, and you could take that for what it's worth. But again, I do consider it a success that it got to the screen. It lasted 2 seasons. It was very highly acclaimed, got positive critical reviews. I think that for what it needed to do is great. I know that there were some things that they showed as far as us last night, as far as at the very end after the unfortunate 1984 loss, which showed Magic Johnson, the character that was playing Magic, the actor that was playing the Magic Johnson, was in the shower, very distraught and sad. But it showed the last scene, which was not shown to reviewers. Magic Man was where John C. Riley playing Dr. Bus with his with the actress who was playing Jeannie Bus,
Hadley
talking about,
Robinson, Gerald. Yeah,
yeah. So they were talking about, it's going to be all right, all of it, and you know how he knows because we effing own this. And they look up to the heavens and they start laughing maniacally while they're sitting at the center court at the Forum once again, like they did in season one. I think that Jeannie Buss is the only individual on the Lakers when it comes down to it that has actually said positive things about the show as far as anything at all. Again, from a standpoint where I take it for what it is, as far as most of it being true, some of it not being true, some of it being accentuated, I found it to be a good series overall. It just shows that yes, these team centric sports centric shows and series only have a lifespan of a certain time.
yeah, they really do. They really do. Uh, yeah. The fact is like,
No Lakers attached to this has actually said in real life that they care for the series at all.
no, no. There's only been criticism and
Yeah.
scorn for it, Gerald. That's right.
I don't know if it's because it hits home too close or because it's accentuated too much. I'm assuming Jerry, we've seen even Jerry West. Jerry West has had issues with it because of especially how he was portrayed in season one by Jason Clark. Yeah, that's something that can. I don't know. The only, like I said, the only person that has said anything positive about it is Jeannie Buss, and just because reminds her what was. But unfortunately, after 2 seasons of it, unfortunately, it's no more, my friend. And I don't think that everybody's going to be able to shop it around to other shows. They'll always tell you that they're going to shop it around to other networks, to Amazon. I know that was the question there. Are they going to be able to shop it? They could try, but the fact is, when you have a show from my dealings with television shows and all that over the course of many years now with the pop culture cosmos, when you have a show that's immediately announced as canceled after or right during its episode is airing to the public, that's not a good sign. It's usually bad. And he usually tells me that there was a lack of interest by the consumer at large.
Yeah, and obviously, Gerald, if HBO feels that you're not pulling in the numbers, they're just willing to just circle the drain and move on to the next project to see if they can gin up the kind of analytics they want to see. Obviously, like you said, winning time in and of itself, like at 30,000 feet view, you're right. It was very interesting series. It was woven very, very calculatingly, and they went to a lot of effort to try and make it look uh, like a like a real series. But as Gerald said, there's not a lot of lifeblood in something like that to the general consumer, only to the really general population of whatever you're appealing to, whether, like Gerald was saying, Lakers, Yankees, Ryan Reynolds is doing now with that rugby team he bought, Wrexham. That's really a neat for a niche audience. Either for, like Gerald said, for
I mean, Ted
whatever.
Lasso is based off a fictional team.
Yes, yes.
So it really doesn't have a particular crowd or subset audience that is catering to. It's an actual fictionally made team, so that's why people got along with it. And it was so popular for Apple TV Plus for 3 seasons, but and could have gone more seasons, but they decided to end it, not to Apple TV Plus. So I think that it's yeah, exactly. Until it was zany at times. Again, more so in season one for me than season two. Season two seemed like it was more closer to what was happening in real life, even though it still had its moments as far as dramatization is concerned. But it seemed like ultimately, despite the fact that I thought it was a better season, it was still good in the first season. It was even better in the second season. Magic Man, unfortunately, again, if it's playing to just a niche audience, it's not going to stay around much longer.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. Unfortunately, Gerald, as well as it was cast, as well as it looked. And by the way, I just love the kind of changeover that I'm not sure whose idea it was. I think it was Adam McKay's, but the 35 millimeter
Hmm.
shots, Gerald, I really liked that. That was really clever, and I thought
Yes.
really unique. But like we said, Gerald was saying, unfortunately, uh, in the big world, you have to have an ace in the hole that you can put out to the general public, and they eat it up. But there was no carrot left. There was only carrot for Lakers centric basketball fans or fans of the actors or family and friends. So Gerald kind of hit the nail on the head with what happened with the shortcomings of the show and ultimately why it's no more.
Once again, it's the Lakers Fast Break. We truly appreciate you joining us. It is Gerald Glassford along with the Magic Man, Sean Grice. If you want more thoughts on winning time, again, our good friend Empire Jeff TV shared some thoughts on his channel. Plus, he also did an article on it where he was really venting on it as far as the decisions that were made. Magic Man, I know that on social media that there's a lot of I got rid of them search and destroy. No worries. I timed them out again. I just love timing them out. It's enjoyable. But for me, it's like almost a sport in and of itself.
Mm.
But Magic Man, oh, you catch the comment, you delete the comment, and you time out the person making the comment. But when it comes to the social media, flashback, a lot of people, there's been articles about the social media brushback as far as the disappointment is. The only thing I say is, if there's that big of a disappointment, why didn't you watch the series?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. What are you pining and complaining about? You know, you should have been watching it rather than trying to. What did Chuck Palahniuk say, Gerald, the great writer? It's easier to criticize a great work of art than to create one. I just thought that was kind of apt. Yeah, like seriously, enough with your tomatoes and your rotten fruit throwing at something that's dead anyway. Shame on you. You should have been watching the show and promoting it.
Exactly. A Bloodhound, I will say that Netflix, for the longest time, was running at an operating loss, at a revenue loss, because they were the amount of the material that they were making was more than even the large amount of volume of memberships that they were doing. They were continually reporting loss after loss. It's only now in these days that they're actually reporting a revenue stream that's a lot better, and obviously reporting, I think they're even reporting profits, but they're also reducing the amount of content, like all these streamers are reducing the amount of content. And I think that also comes into play, my friend. All these streamers, after the big streaming boom of the earlier part of this decade, unfortunately has not been able to go ahead and sustain itself. We knew there would be a crash of some type with some of these streaming outlets, and it looks like there has been, where only the mighty have survived. And right now, it looks like while Netflix is still surviving and doing well and possibly even thriving to an extent, Amazon Prime, by the fact, the sheer nature that it's actually got a whole bunch of other stuff that you can do there besides go ahead and watch video and watch movies and all that. That's why it still has over 200 million subscribers. Everything else is going to be up in the air for long term. So it means that they need to put out quality programming that people can watch, that will actually, I guess, get people interested in a larger volume and audience than what Winning Time did for their fans.
Yeah, 100%. And if it's any consolation, I think Winning Time garnered a little bit more of an audience than Citadel has for Amazon, which has been a much more expensive venture for Amazon Prime deal than I think Winning Time was for HBO. But yeah, um, it, it it's cruel. It's a cruel world. It's a cruel world. Again, I just feel bad for everybody associated with the production, everybody behind the scenes, including a friend of the show, Jeff Pearlman. It's a bummer that it didn't work out, and but Gerald, Jeff's a great writer, and like you said,
I sure wish
uh,
you would have come on the show tonight. It would have
yeah,
been awesome if you did.
yeah, yeah. But I understand him wanting to sit it out because probably need to take some time and reflect on what you might have done differently, or what's his next project, because
Well, I know he's
just
working on more of his awesome books, so
yeah.
that's what.
So
Yeah,
just got broad shoulders, he'll land on his feet. Just kind of felt bad for him, Joe, because having read the book, um it was a great work of it was nonfiction.
yeah.
It was a great work of nonfiction by Jeff, and
He's the best sports book writer, as far as as far as any biographies on that, than anyone I've ever seen. As far as consistently bringing out on a not just L.A. Laker related, but basically sports. He's doing one on Bo Jackson. He's done several different players. Across the gambit of sports, and he's just done a great job each and every time.
100% Joel. I'd agree with you, and I'd also say the same thing
I
about
know that I know the stories on Kobe. Yeah, absolutely. I especially around the time the book was released, about 9 months after his death. I know that did not go over well with the wide amount of people, but yeah, I mean, Kobe was a very competitive person. He may not have been the most kind to people, or as far as the most, I don't know. I don't want to get into too much as far as what Kobe's demeanor, but you guys, you and gals know what Kobe's demeanor was like. You know that his, he mellowed out after his playing days, but during his playing days, he could be very hard to get along
grumpy,
with. Yeah,
grumpy.
hard to get along with by some of his teammates. Some of his teammates would attest to that, but nobody will ever doubt the heart. And as far as the sheer drive that he had, which was second to none, and sometimes that would take place of him coming off maybe to the people the wrong way. But yes, I know he wrote a book that came out. In fact, I interviewed him for it, and he came out just shortly, well, within less than a year, calendar year of his passing. So I know that people were not exactly thrilled with that. I want to go ahead and mention to Southern Comfort, and this actually is a correction to what I said earlier. As of the actual link I put in there by Statista.com, they currently have, as of the second quarter of 2023, Netflix does 238 million subscribers, is what worldwide is what they're listed at. So I wanted to give everybody a heads up on that. But Finishing out winning time on this conversation before we get into Dwight Howard, my friend. Winning time again. It generally favorable reviews. You go look on Metacritic; it's right around a 70 for both seasons. So, depends on who liked it, who didn't like it, if they were really a fan of it. But again, I thought it was generally great acted, depending on the individual. I really liked again John C. Riley. I thought he is deserving of really some acclaim and awards for his performance as Dr. Jerry Buss. I truly thought it was outstanding. I hope he will get recognized by the Emmys at some point in time because his work was really well done and much. I think it would have been better than what Will Ferrell would have been able to done or anybody else trying to tackle that role.
Yeah, no, exactly, Gerald. And unfortunately, one
Sky,
role.
nobody, there's no actors that are available to do that due to the ongoing strike. But maybe sometime down the road, I would be like to have, I would be happy to do that down the road. Maybe they could reflect on it. But as of now, Magic Man and Sky Dweller, I cannot speak to any actors. I've already tried to reach out to actors for other projects and other things, but unfortunately, due to the current strike that's ongoing for the Screen Actors Guild, they will not accept any. And if they consider that breaking of lines as far as the strike lines and the picket lines. They don't want anybody to do that. So I don't want anybody to see themselves get into trouble over it. But yes,
Gerald
if I
doesn't want to.
remember next year, I will be hopefully happy to do that, or even maybe later this year if the strike is going to end, which doesn't look like anytime soon. But go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, no, that's right. Thank you for clarifying that, Gerald. Hopefully there is some clarity soon with that, but I'm with you. I think both. It looks like both of them are digging their heels into the ground and not.
Although, if you do want to go to a Galaxy Con near you, there's probably some actors in the series that are doing some signings there. That they can still do because they still got to go ahead and pay the bills.
Right, right.
Yes.
Uh, but and obviously, uh, it finished. There's a lot of unfulfillment there as well, Gerald. I mean, we the one role that's a big vacuum in all this that was there for what sort of happened was Jack Nicholson. They were able to cast a Jack Nicholson for Winning Time yet. So that will remain a mystery. Who do you think would have played Jack Nicholson, Gerald?
It would have been some unknown actor. I don't, and you know what? Actually, I'm sorry. They got well known actors for most of the crew, except for obviously the players. Some of the players were relatively unknowns. Even Norm Nixon's son, who did an outstanding job as Norm Nixon, was relatively new to the acting game. Yeah, that would have been hard to say. That they might have just got someone that just does a non-speaking role that's just sitting on
Right.
the chair. Probably been it. Yeah. Lifted says, Gerald, can you fill us in on the strike? I've heard about it, don't know any details. Well, basically, it started off with the Writers Guild strike about 4 months ago, almost 5 months ago.
Hmm.
In regards to they went on strike against the film studios in regards to more writing fees, more writing as far as residuals for the work that they do, and more money for the work that they do. Recently, in the last 2 months, actually about 2 months ago, the Screen Actors Guild went on strike in regards to issues, of course, pay, residuals on streaming outlets, which for many, if it's like a movie or a TV series that was not originally intended, like for instance, let's take Breaking Bad, Sean, on Netflix. Breaking Bad on Netflix is a very popular series on Netflix, but it wasn't originally meant for there, it wasn't originally created for there, but it was actually bought by Netflix and actually be able to go ahead to showcase there. So it gets tons of views, millions of views. And it was funny because the stars all say they get very, very little for actually, any residuals from that show being on Netflix, which is the largest entity on the planet as far as streaming is concerned. Orange is the New Black. Many of the Orange is the New Black actors from that series have said they get pennies, to the dollar on exactly what they get as far as residuals, even though it's viewed millions of times or has been viewed millions of times on Netflix and other streaming outlets. So basically, that's what it comes down to is the residuals from streaming outlets plus the AI issue, artificial intelligence issue, which has also come up, as far as just before the strike in regards to, let's take Sean, for instance. Let's say Sean gets invited to go ahead and do a background role on a television series or a movie, and they use his likeness and he signs off permission for, let's say, 100, $200 to go ahead and do a background role. They can, usually what they were doing, especially Disney, Marvel, I've heard that they're one of the primary individual film studios that was starting to do it. They would take his image, scan that in there, and be able to use it in perpetuity and just pay him that one-time fee of $100, $200 or whatever that they were going to go ahead and do. They're not paying him for any work down the line. So the Screen Actors Guild is touching on a lot of subjects. Obviously, better pay for residuals, for things that are appearing on films, television, and streaming, especially streaming, but also artificial intelligence and protecting their likenesses and images for down the road as well. So that's really what it comes down to. That's why they're still out there. Does not look like there's going to be a resolution on the Writers Guild strike or the actors strike anytime soon. The reason that you don't see any actors or actresses being able to promote any work that's coming out, like for any of the films coming out or any of the television series, like Winning Time, is because the Screen Actors Guild has specifically forbid any of these actors to go ahead and promote any work, either on their social media or any TV shows or any appearances like that. They can't mention any movies or television shows they're on currently or even in the past, as far as that's concerned. So they really can't mention anything. They can still, again, go to appearances, make appearances, do cameos if you're into cameo, things of that. Well, I'm OnlyFans. I've heard us mentioned as well. Some stars are turning to
Y'all
OnlyFans.
pretty ladies
Yeah,
around.
I hear that as well. So I'm expecting a Kurt affair comment anytime soon, Magic, after that. But I'm just telling people that they're turning to those options. Those are still okay to do, but not appearances on to plug any entertainment work in the industry. And I think that, to me, I think that last part, Magic Man, I really haven't discussed this on the Cosmos yet. So I really think that might be a misstep, because I would love to see one central place for all these individuals to go ahead and maybe plug their outlets on just one entity, one major entity that would get across, but also at the same time continually voice concerns that they have and the reasons, and remind people why they're on strike in the first place.
Yeah, you think there'd be some kind of
Well,
filter?
he already did, SC. He already did. So I guess strike
Yeah.
against the LFB. Yes.
Never
But
again.
we negotiated behind the scenes. I went to the table, and even though he tried to strike against Joe again, wait, actually again and again and again. Wow, I've lost count. But yes, we were able to renegotiate a return for the Magic Man, and we're happy to have it back. So,
Absolutely. And Gerald, I have to give an applause to our great panelist Bloodhound, who said that Christian Slater would probably be the selection for Jack Nicholson,
good point.
which was thinking, yeah, get the glasses on, so he's a little bit older, but yeah, that'd be a great selection. Good,
But
good.
yeah, it just basically what it comes down to, it's the rights for everyone out there. But I just think, again, there should be one continuing outlet, because the less that the Screen Actors Guild is out there doing something that people are worrying about, the less people care and the less people know and the less people realize that they're still doing it.
Absolutely, Gerald.
I mean, they figured
It's
I'm sure they're
it's not a
banking on.
yeah, yeah.
Well, hold on. I'm sure they're banking on the fact that all you're seeing right now that's new is reality shows saying, "Oh, where," but the audience is very fickle out there, and they'll just keep watching. They'll just find something else to do. The thing is, if I was the Screen Actors Guild, I would be trying to put one central way to go ahead and let people know continuously why they're doing what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. They were able to encapsulate perhaps a platform and just be able to constantly um, and continually preach the messages that they want to get out there, because they're not the only ones on strike now as well, Gerald. Our hardworking men and women for the auto workers are all on strike, and the Ford workers in Canada now, Gerald, are on strike. So I agree with you. It's unfortunate that a lot of these unions are constrained from actually trying to do something like that, Gerald.
You
When
got to
mess
keep it out there in the public
when
eye. That's
messaging is so important nowadays, because we live in a 24-hour news cycle, and like Gerald was saying, it's easily put into the trash or the recycling bin if it's not constantly being preached.
if I was Fran Drescher, aka the nanny, if you remember her from that old sitcom way back when, she's the leader of SAG at this point in time. And if I was her, I would just make, even just if it was creating my own YouTube channel, Twitch channel, whatever channel, just basically bring it on the air so that it's running all the time so you can continually to air the grievances that you have with Hollywood. I mean, again, people just the public out there, they just lose touch because they're doing their own thing, and it just comes down to the point where people just stop caring. The reason why the UAW strike is so hot right now because it's brand new, people care about it, and obviously cars, buying a new car is obviously a big issue and a big thing, plus it affects a ton of people as well. But 3 4 months in, Magic Man, will people still care about it because people have forgotten that the guild is on strike? We had to tell our chat what the strike was all about for the Actors Guild. So will people care about the United Auto Workers as well? I mean, this is, I don't want to go too much into it because it goes veers off into something that's not Laker related. But yeah, you have to keep reminding people why you're doing what you're doing.
No, it's important. This is important, Gerald. It's about messaging, and
Yeah.
it's like Gerald was saying. If you're not framing your messaging the way you want to frame it, somebody else will frame it for you. And
I'm telling you right now, my friend, though, it'll be great one of these days when we go on strike again against Joe Soro. At least we know we'll be glad to go ahead and update you every single day why we would be striking against Joe Soro. Indeed.
we'll march day and night by the big cooling
Hell
tower.
no, we won't go. Hell no, we won't go. Well, once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. We truly want to thank you for joining us. Again, if you want any to share any thoughts or memories of winning time in its 2 seasons, please let us know in the comments below, in the chat, or let me know on social media, Lakers Fast Break or Lakers Fast Break at yahoo.com. But before we head on out, my friend, thought we'd touch on some Laker news. I know it was mentioned in the chat a few days ago about Dwight Howard joining the Warriors. And like, I kind of passed it off then, but then I looked at it further. Shams Charania did report that there's a possibility that that could happen because they are meeting this week. Dwight Howard and the Warriors are meeting to see. Obviously, want to see if he still has some of the je ne sais quoi that he once had as a one of the top players of all time, one of the top 75 players of all time, depending on who you ask. Now, obviously, not enough people said yes because he's like the 77th player of all time. But I want to ask your thoughts on this, my friend. Dwight Howard has a possible return from Shanghai, coming back to play for the Golden State Warriors as a possibility. Do you think there's any juice left in Dwight Howard to go ahead and be able to help this team, the Golden State Warriors?
Gerald, I have to admit, I don't think the Taipei sharpshooter will be the missing ingredient there. Um, but you never know. They could sign him. It's possible. JaVale McGee still has a job in the NBA. DeAndre
Yes.
Jordan still has a job in the NBA.
I don't
Tris-
know how, man.
Tristan Thompson has a job in the NBA. There's three candidates right there. I
And,
don't
and
see a
and when somebody tells us that like Joe says, he doesn't see how expansion can be a possibility based off talent, he may be right, my friend. That I thought that we had enough talent to support 2 more teams, but when I see a team expansion team that could possibly be filled by JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard, DeAndre Jordan, Tristan Thompson, Kardashian. I mean, you you put their name in there, Bismack Biyombo. Wenyan Gabriel, yeah. You name the stiff, there's still plenty of 'em out there, my friend. It just shows you that the talent may not be as robust as you might think.
No, no, the gene pool is a little shallow there, Gerald.
Jay Huff, when Jay Huff, we often think sometimes is the best of this entire lot that we talk about, that tells you exactly where he is.
Bad, very bad,
Andrew
especially since
Bynum, come back.
especially when Bismack Biombo signed in Germany, Gerald. I mean,
He did sign in Germany.
yeah,
He
yeah.
got
So
tired
he's
of waiting. So yeah,
yeah, I got tired of waiting. Unfortunately, there are better leagues as well that thought, yeah, we don't need another stiff. We've got a
well,
couple already. We don't need another one.
well, like, when it comes to Bismack Biombo, I was really hard on the guy, and I would love to say I'm sorry that I say that about that, but when he's clanking free throws in Germany, you will understand what I mean. I mean, it's just that he is a player who had some really great efficiency, was actually a 65% free throw shooter at the time, which was able enough to keep him on the floor. But yeah, once his free throw shooting went back down again, yeah, that was all she wrote. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've been hard on him.
Yes.
Given our email chain, if Nick Molina ever got Tristan, excuse me, excuse me, Tristan Thompson. No, if he ever,
Tristan Kardashian.
yes, if if he ever got Tobias Harris on the stand, Tobias may break down. Nick might Perry Mason him after what I've said about him. So
Yeah, he
touche,
mentioned his
Gerald.
contract.
Yeah,
He mentioned that Kelly, when the Kelly Oubre signing, because Kelly Oubre Jr. signed today with the Philadelphia 76ers. He's going to camp with them. But yeah, Nick's comments on how Tobias Harris's contract is so criminal that he would prosecute against it was just classic. And having you as the lead witness was just truly a nice touch on top of that. I think the next one after that, because I think this is Tobias Harris's last year. I think
I
this
think
is,
so. I think
yeah.
so. If I'm
So
not
I think he's,
mistaken.
yeah, we're done with that. But I think the next one will be Jeremy Grant.
Hmm.
It's just my thoughts. Not sure that'll happen, but that's probably
No, no,
my
no.
vote.
You're right, Gerald. That he's on deck. That
Yes.
contract is on deck right now. He's about to come up to the plate. You're right.
So I'm asking you, my friend, when it comes to Dwight Howard, do you see it as a possibility? And to a team that I'm still evaluating, but is older and well, depending on who you talk to, smaller than what it was when it got pounded on by the Los Angeles Lakers on the boards. Your thoughts, my friend, on if Dwight Howard can actually provide something for them, if he'll actually play enough to provide something for them this season, if he gets
Yeah,
signed for them.
right. So we're talking about, an undersized center, right, Gerald? So
Well,
somebody
Dwight
like,
Howard isn't.
well, you know what, Gerald? He's not as tall as he was in '04. That's for sure.
He's already shrunk. He's no longer 7 feet tall.
I think he looks to me like he's less than 6'10". He might be 6'9".
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's because he
So
had a lot. The back issues finally came
yeah,
up to.
yeah, it looks
Okay.
like, those herniated discs really took their toll because he doesn't look as tall to me. He looks like really undersized, more of like an Elvin Hayes or
Yeah.
a Wes Unseld, so to speak. But you know what, Gerald? I think there is room for him on that team. We just saw that they gave Usman Garuba a two-way contract,
And,
and
and he's 6'8".
yeah, yeah. So it looks as though, I could, Gerald. I foresee the Warriors probably sending him to a non-guaranteed 1-year deal. I would say for probably the veterans minimum if he they decide to keep him. But I don't think you would offer him any kind of guarantees, just as he didn't offer Garuba any. I think they're looking at probably one of those two guys to compete to see if somebody can fill a void, Gerald, because we saw it in the playoffs. It bit them in the rear end. They got away with it in the 82 game regular season, but having Kevin Looney or somebody else at center, um, they need a backup badly because Looney is limited already offensively, Gerald, but he's a hell of a rebounder and a
Oh,
hell of a
that kid's
vertical
got, yeah,
defender.
yeah. I'm
So
never gonna doubt the heart on that guy.
no, not at all, not at all. And it's cleaned up, not as prone to foul trouble anymore, Joe. But they desperately need a backup center in Golden State because it bit them in the rear end against the Lakers.
Well, I'll tell you what, though. Again, if if he is smaller, Dwight Howard, 6'9", 6'10", he's still built like Adonis, I'm sure, even at this age, because he's still, what, 35,
Hmm.
36. So, yeah, still should be able to go ahead as far as out muscle anybody there. But the fact is, does he still have it? And is he going to be able to play enough minutes to be effective? Because this isn't 2020 Dwight. As far as the kind words that Kurt and Intel have said about him as far as 2020, Dwight was such a tremendous force for us, actually took over the majority role in the playoffs for us, as Luca often points out to us that he did take over in 2020 in the bubble for us and played a major role, especially playing against Jokic. Again, that's something that's obviously would be something the Golden State Warriors would love to recreate. But yeah, I'm just not sure after so many years. He fizzled out in Philadelphia. He fizzled out again with the Lakers. He fizzled out, in China. So I'm not sure how much he really has left to go ahead and be a force anymore. But I agree with Intel Wild. No NBA player should be under 70% on free throws. And I know this is embarrassing, but I'm going to bring this up. But I would love to see if you were a coach and you had, like, let's say Pops, and you really would impose your will. Say if you guys go under 66%, so make 2/3 of your free throws. If you went under 66%, you would have to shoot it Rick Barry style.
Yeah, I think he'd do
I, I
it.
just I just think if you're a college coach or a pro coach out there and say, you know what, shoot me, make two of three free throws. If you make two or three free throws, I'm good. If you make under that, you got to shoot it my way because you're more likely to make them more than most. It looks ridiculous, whatever you want to say, but it worked for Barry. He's the all-time greatest free throw shooter, and yeah, because he's ahead of Curry, correct?
I'd have to double check, Gerald.
Okay.
I think
Well,
Curry
they're both
may.
up there. They're
Yeah,
both up there. Yes, yeah. I'll
yeah,
look at all-time best free throws
yeah.
here, but
Anyway,
when
yeah, they're both up there. The fact is, Gerald, is that again, I remember a story that John Sally told when he his rookie year in the NBA.
it's Stephen Curry. It's Stephen
Yeah,
Curry.
I thought it was, but like it's barely. It's like they're net. I think they're like almost neck and neck. But
Actually, no, Rick Barry's just a tick under 90%. It's Stephen
okay,
Curry,
and
Steve
Steve
Nash,
Nash, yeah, those are
Mark
the
Price.
Price,
Those are the
yeah,
only guys that are 90%.
those
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
fair enough. But though
But my
those are
gosh, if
the
you're shooting 90%, are you really going to argue with Rick Barry?
no, no, those are the three guys I was thinking of. Yeah, no, and you're not, Gerald. Like I was saying, Bill Lambier was telling John Sally he was basically doing his accounting, and he said at the end of the year, he said, John, this is how much money you missed by missing free throws. And Sally couldn't believe it, Gerald. And then the next season, he started shooting about 75% because he said, I didn't want to lose that money again. And, sooner or later, Gerald, there's going to be some kind of incentive based carrot in these contracts that says that if you want your average annual salary to like go up, then you have to meet certain criteria. Like, yeah, hitting 70% of your free throws. That would be a good start.
66%. That's all I say because that's two of three. You're hitting two of three, and then there you go. But if you don't, then I would say they would be. You should take it upon yourself to do it the Rick Barry style again, which I think is an easier motion, which I think is an easier way to shoot it, and it's a much better opportunity to go ahead and hit for a higher percentage, but it just doesn't look aesthetically good, you know. And I know like guys like Joe would probably rip on you all day if you went to that in the game, but you know, it's about making the free throw no matter how much, whatever way you want to do it. But yeah, search and destroy. It is Curry. After that, it is Nash, Price, and then Rick Barry is like just a smidgen under 90%. But again, he led.
they're the four best. Yeah,
Yeah, they're the four best ever at free throws, and you really can't argue with that. But again, it is
I
Dwight
would
Howard.
say I think although I'm not sure if the games played count, Cheryl, but I think Mahmoud Abdul Rauf would be in that class as well. He would.
I'm looking for him right now. He's not in the top 20 all time.
Yeah, it must be just based off games played because I know he was in the 90s for sure. Um,
Well, actually, like I said, he might have been for a year or two, but he was not overall. Because I'm looking at it right now through the top 40, and I do not see him there as of
yeah,
yet.
it's got to be a games played issue then. But yeah, look, I think like you said, Gerald, Howard is the juice worth the squeeze with Howard? Do you think, Gerald?
Again, I just don't think he's going to get it, you
Gut
know, much of a chance to
gut
play.
feeling. Yeah, gut
Well,
feeling.
I just don't think it's you know, at time he's going to give you any much left. I don't think he's going to give you anything that's going to give you any type of consistency at this age. He's been out of the league already a season. Yeah, I
I
just think
agree.
he's, and the thing is, you've already got Chris Paul at 100 years old going there. Um, and you've got Dwight Howard. They were one of the highest paced teams last year. They actually live off of a much faster pace, and to have Chris Paul and Dwight Howard, if they're in the
Slows them
lineup,
down considerably.
slows them down, and that's not conducive. Even though they do have you know, you would think in theory a probably pretty decent half court offense when they've got the shooters that they do, still they're reliant on pace. They're reliant on a lot of passing, assists, a lot of turnovers as well. That's a byproduct of it. But I still see them as getting older and getting smaller, and I'm not sure they're getting better this time around.
Yeah, no, me neither. Me neither.
Well,
Um,
I'm gonna go look up Mahmoud. Yeah, his career was 586 games. You're right, 90.5% free throw shooting. Yes, so he obviously, I guess he didn't play enough games. 586 games is not enough in the league. So,
yeah, unfortunate because yeah, I remember he could hit his free throws as well. But regardless,
which would have
Gerald,
put him number two all time.
time, yeah, he would be number two. Yeah,
Mhm.
so
That's weird that that doesn't count. It's 500. It's almost. Well, I don't know what yeah,
yeah,
that's
there's
so
got to be
weird.
some kind of criteria. Yeah, that's strange.
Because I'm
One of
looking off
those.
of basketball reference, and yeah, it's like, okay, how many games is it necessary to? Okay, well, there we go.
Well, but yeah, no, you're right, Gerald. I think that it's kind of the end for Howard. There's like there might be a little toothpaste left in that tube that you gotta get it up there, but I think it's gone.
Yeah, I just weird, very weird. And you're asking, it was chat said in the chat, search and destroy, maybe years, maybe. But it's so weird because if you look at basketball reference, I mean, they have guys like JJ Redick, Ray Allen. Those guys played more than 10 years. I get that. Yeah, Kyle Korver. Yeah, Earl Boykins is listed on here. How many games did he play? Let's just take a 652. So not it was only 70 more games than Mahmoud Rauf. Yeah, Mahmoud Abdul Rauf, and it just seems like that's not a whole lot more. So I guess maybe 600 games was the cutoff point for that. But maybe well, it would be one of the same current affair. They would list it under the same as far as Chris Jackson or Mahmoud Abdul Rauf. But need I digress? It is of course Dwight Howard's only speaking to and obviously working out with the Golden State Warriors. Nothing has been confirmed or signed as far as him adding to the roster, but Magic Man, a lot to talk about. These West teams are loading up. Philadelphia is also loading up as well with Kelly Oubre Jr. I don't know what kind of role he's going to play. He's not exactly the most efficient shooter, but for a guy I had mentioned that's a 15th roster spot, just like Philadelphia, I don't think it's a bad get. I mean, The guy was a 20-point scorer in the league last year, and if you do have a ton of injuries, it's nice to fall on. It's nice to have someone to fall back onto, someone like that.
Absolutely, Gerald. Normally, it's strange, Gerald. The musical chairs this year in the NBA with free agents has been very interesting. We all thought PJ Washington would get locked up pretty soon, and it took months before him and Charlotte reached an agreement. Now we thought, wait for Kelly Oubre. What's going on? Well, Philadelphia waited until the very last moment when somebody else is going to come in and sign him. And yeah, it was a good get. That's actually a really good find for a depth player that they waited this long. That's correct, Kurt. He is. So we're
I
gonna
don't see him
find
getting
out.
much time unless there's injury.
Nope. And defensively, if you're more the hydrant than the dog, which me and Gerald both have seen Kelly Oubre, and he's more hydrant than the dog most nights. All due respect, Kelly, great offensive game, but defensively, it's just not there. Yeah, I agree with Gerald and Kurt. It's not going to be a lot of playing time for Kelly
No,
Oubre.
unless there's injuries. But yeah, again, I don't foresee that happening for him. But it is another shot for him, Kelly Oubre Jr., and then also as well Dwight Howard possibly being a Golden State Warrior sometime down the road. We'll see. They're in discussions, and he's probably working out for the team this week. So we'll see. We're getting closer and closer. We're about what 1 week away from some of the teams that are going overseas from having their media day and their start of training camp. The Lakers training camp starts on the 3rd of October, with the 2nd being their media day. Looking forward to it, my friend. I know we've got more great discussions on the way for NBA team previews, trying to lock them down as fast as we can. But your thoughts? I think you've got a Clippers coming up here real soon. We finally got a Clippers season preview.
Yeah,
I know you guys are
we
going to enjoy ripping on that one coming up here in the not too distant
Yeah,
future.
yeah, Joe. We finally found someone. It's a beat reporter for the Clippers, Tomer Azarli. Be a guest on our program Wednesday at it'll be 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific time. With our interview with Clippers beat writer Tomer Azarli. I'm also looking to try and lock down an interview with somebody from the Commercial Appeal,
Okay.
talk about the Grizz, Gerald, and me and Gerald are also on the hunt for the rest of the Western Conference teams.
We are. We've got a ton of emails out as far as hopefully getting some responses. I might have one for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Been trying to get one for the Mavericks. Been trying to get one for the Grizzlies, Pelicans, also the Trailblazers. I have individuals that I've been emailing to constantly, so I'm hopefully they will go ahead and join us. If Jeff Perlman can answer us, they can answer us too. So hopefully they will go ahead and join us on the show to give you their season previews for their teams, plus their thoughts on the Lakers, which is always interesting. So as we close this out, my friend, I guess Joe, even though the Pittsburgh won, still doesn't have the guts to join us today. Ooh, slap on the way out. Your thoughts, my friend, though, on some of the things that we've seen and heard from all these different experts that we've gotten from all around the league. It's been very interesting on how they see the Lakers. Your thoughts on that, my friend, is Intel Wild posted a super chat for us, the best Lakers channel on YouTube. Truly appreciate it right here at the Lakers Fast Break. Your thoughts, Magic Man, before we head on out.
Yeah, I think overall, Gerald, I think most of our experts have kind of felt the same way we have. It's really dependent on health, but health considerations aside, there's a lot of depth. There's a lot of quality depth. There's also a team that's obviously now hungry because even though LeBron and AD did bring a championship to the Lakers, this group got to the Western Conference Finals. You've added a lot of playoff metal with Gabe Vincent, and you've also managed to bring in every one of your players from the finals team. So uh, it looks as though I think we're going to be right where we were when we started this little adventure about where we were going to go, Trail. I still believe we're top three. I think we're going to surprise some people just given the victories. I mean, again, last year, as one of our Phoenix guys was saying, the Lakers had 43 wins. They were the seventh seed. The fourth and fifth seeds both had 45. So, and Gerald, you've mentioned it again for the second consecutive year. There's not going to be a single team in the Western Conference that wins 60 games. There's
You know,
not a buzzsaw.
no, no, but thinking that maybe the Lakers being a team that's being underestimated may not be such a thing as much as it was maybe a couple weeks ago. I'm starting to hear more experts, more shows look at the Lakers roster and say, you know what, that team may go a long way, even in the playoffs at this season. I know the Game Theory podcast, which has been all over the place on the Lakers in recent times, they like what the Lakers did a lot and said they wouldn't be surprised if the Lakers actually won the conference and won in the playoffs because there's so many good fits, not perfect fits. And like we see it, there's no perfect fits on this team, you know, as far as outside LeBron and AD, but they're good fits. They're really interchangeable, usable players to use in different situations. They may not get you the perfect amount of what you need, but they all seemingly will get you a lot of good things each and every time out.
Yeah, I mean, that you can't always get what you want, Gerald, but sometimes you get what you need. I
Yeah,
think
absolutely.
that's a great Stones song. But anyway, I think that's the mentality that we kind of all need to have. It's like Gerald was saying. There's no perfect situation, and this roster looks pretty good from a depth perspective. And as Gerald said, it's it's like a complimentary sandwich. It looks like it's appetizing. It doesn't look like it's all over the place. So I agree. I still feel the same way. I think we're top three. Still feel that way. Hopefully, we get through training camp and healthy.
You and I both, my friend, but we'll continue to gauge it as we continue to provide daily updates for you, team reports from all around the league, especially right now in the Western Conference. If you missed any of our team reports, please check them out in the YouTube channels. In fact, I might even set up a link or a playlist in YouTube that people could go ahead and check out, or I'll put a memo somewhere where people can find all of our team outlets for all 30 NBA teams. So hopefully you will go ahead and get a chance to go ahead and do that. Please, it is highly recommended so you become educated on what the people around the league are saying about their teams, but also about the Lakers as well. So it gives you a better idea of what to expect come the season. But Magic Man, great episode as always. Again, our thoughts and respects to the folks running Winning Time on a successful two-season series. Was a show that garnered over 1 million users at one time. Was really something that a lot of people were caring about and enjoying, and the fact that you got to do that speaks in and of itself. And our thoughts again with Jeff Pearlman. Truly appreciate his time introducing us to the world of Winning Time when he came on with me before the series started. And again, we do apologize that he, unfortunately, the show got canceled and he was not able to come on the show today. Just too emotional for him, but we wish him all the best, don't we, Magic?
We do, Drill. Jeff's a great guy, a great writer, and overall very positive person as well. Tries to accentuate the positive in life, and it's unfortunate this has happened to good people. Gerald, you don't really wish anybody to lose a job. Um,
I hope so, Kurt. I hope it evolves into a three-ring circus opportunity. But the thing is, will they keep it at one season? Because you see what happened with 2 seasons of Winning Time. So we'll see what happens. But again, I read both books of his, and they were truly outstanding reads. And I had the chance and opportunity to interview him twice. You could check it out in the archives if you want. It goes right there for you. So look for that. But Magic Man, a great show tonight. I know we got more coming back tomorrow night. Any last thoughts before we head on out?
You know what, Gerald? Sometimes life hands you a knuckleball, and you swing, and all you feel is air. I get it. It sucks. It sucks when things get canceled. It sucks when you lose your job. I just hope for the best for Jeff and everybody associated with the show. Chin up. You know, the sun's going to come up tomorrow as well. Uh, it was, as Gerald said, it was a great show while it lasted, and all good things have to come to an end. It's unfortunate that's what happened. And as for Dwight, I think Dwight's in the swan song of his career, Gerald. I just don't think he's got it in him. Uh, just I don't think that old boxer's got one more fight left in him, Gerald. I think he needs to throw in the towel.
And just as we're about ready to go, he steps in after, just
Another
basically.
subscriber. Thank you. What do you think about that, Joe? It doesn't matter what you think, Joe. We got another subscriber.
Absolutely. And just as Sean said, we do have another subscriber. So thank you for subscribing, Pedro. Truly appreciate it. Joe Soro is here from LakeCurseball.com. I put that one on first. I got Joe's greeting for subscribers here coming up here in the not too distant
I
future
heard
as
it
well.
too.
Yes, it is Joe Soro. Joe, good to have you here. Again, congratulations to your Pittsburgh Steelers. Maybe got lucky by the fact that Nick Chubb blew out his knee very tragically, and also funny. I scored 170 points, and Nick Chubb was the one that was hurt on my team. So I really had a great weekend this weekend in fantasy. But your thoughts, my friend, on Winning Time Season 2. We tried to get Jeff Perlman on tonight, but he declined because he's very emotionally distraught at the cancellation. But your thoughts, my friend, on Winning Time Season 2 before we head on out.
Sorry, I would have been on a little bit earlier, but for some reason my internet's not working, so I'm using my hotspot on my phone at the moment. The my hope is that once this writer's strike and this acting strike and all these strikes are over, someone grows some kind of intelligence and somehow finds a way to buy the rights to the show and get it onto either Netflix or Amazon. I think it's doing us a disservice by not finishing the story. I think ending on a loss to the Celtics is tragic for a TV show to end. And you have some amazing talent that came out of the show, and I think it's important that you continue to show the talent, because this isn't your normal new wave, new actor quality type show. I mean, these guys really, really, really killed it. The reason why they didn't get a lot of viewership is because the heads of Warner Brothers have been screwing everything up in every angle from every way in anything they're doing the last 2-3 years, that they just don't know how to, they haven't had a chance to really know what the hell to do in terms of marketing and knowing how to do anything. I mean, Succession's like the only thing they've done, but I think at some point there's certain shows that this have a momentum of their own. But it's I don't know. What can you say? I mean, Jeff Perlman is distraught. This and good for good reason, because this is a good show. Why would you cancel a good show? And I think the reason why it's
Well,
canceled is because you have people who have no idea what the hell they're doing controlling it.
again, timing of the way they showed it during the strike. Obviously, the fact that they needed some type of content on that platform to showcase that was new, because they had run through a lot of the shows and they didn't have a lot of shows backing up. But the fact is, Joe, the show lost half its audience by the end of the season, and that's never a good sign, especially when you cancel it even before the last episode airs. That's never a good sign, my friend. And I think not just the fact that they didn't promote it well, but the fact is, it's a niche show. It's a niche programming show to a Lakers audience. It was nice that they got a casual audience out of it because of the drama aspect in the first season, but were people willing, was the casual audience, the non-Laker fans, going to stay with it in season 2 because they probably saw it as a Lakers show and we're probably not going to stay with it?
Well, there was no promotion behind season 1. There was no actor going out there and promoting the show. there's a reason why Coke and McDonald's continue to pay $3-4 million for a commercial.
No, they were
during
promoting season 1.
Yeah, but they didn't promote season 2 enough.
Oh, because you said season 1 just a
A
minute
lot
ago.
of people don't.
He meant season 2. He meant
Yeah, I meant season 2. So you have, look, marketing matters. Marketing matters. Keeping any kind of entity in the people's consciousness is important. That's the reason why I was going to use the example of Coke and McDonald's. What company doesn't know, what person doesn't know what Coke and McDonald's are, but they continue to put that money into that visualization. Hey, this is Coke, this is Coke, this is McDonald's. And how can you not say marketing works? I mean, McDonald's has been a dumpster fire for decades with their terrible service, and really, other than maybe the chicken McNuggets, which are terrible for you, terrible food. I know their coffee is good. I get that part, but everything else, and even the stuff that they do make, is never working. But yet the marketing says otherwise, and the branding says otherwise, right? Coke can give you a heart attack, and people are still drinking. So I just feel like, I don't know. I feel like we're really missing the boat on what people really want, and having the ability to bring in the correct resources and bring in the resources in a way that makes sense like it used to. I feel like the streaming world is really, really screwed up media in general.
So Joe, when this happened, right? This is what, like, I think I would represent, like, the most of what general population would have to say from the outside. So in 2020, when all these floodgates had opened, right, for the streaming, they all opened at the same time. And it like you said, you used a perfect word a few days ago. You called it saturated. It completely saturated the consumer. You were right. You were right.
And there is the
Yeah.
possibility, though, there are WB shows that they have optioned off to Netflix for a period of time where people can watch it on Netflix. And there's the possibility, like a Manifest, for instance, that Manifest was an NBC show, a Universal show. They put the series on Netflix, and it blew up so big that Netflix funded another season, a final season of Manifest on Netflix. Suits has blown up. That was a USA Network show, also shown internationally for years. Meghan Markle is probably the most famous individual on that show that appeared on that show. That blew up on Netflix in the past. It's in August. That blew up in August as far as them putting that on the show. There's a possibility now that they could renew Suits on that, as far as for another season, if they were willing to go ahead and do it, because it blew up so big. So there's a possibility WB can option it off to Netflix or Amazon, like Joe said, and it could blow up and find an audience. It's just so hard because it does play eventually, Joe, to a niche audience. It does play to Lakers fans. And ultimately, the reason why it was successful in the first season, it was reaching out and actually connecting with a larger audience. The second season, not only lack of promotion, but the casual audience stopped watching it, and only the hardcores remained.
Yeah, I feel that most shows just don't really have a lot of longevity. Most of the shows that I've seen don't have a lot of longevity. Shows are more expensive, I guess. I know this particular show is expensive. It's a time period piece, which that always becomes a challenge. And having these stadiums filled up, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and I understand that. But I think a lot of it, though, is there's too many shows, and a lot of the issues that the industry is having is there's so many shows being produced. There's so much activity going on, and it's not based off of, hey, they're paying the ticket for this. We got to make sure there's enough content so that people maintain that $10 a month number, which in the long run, is it really that much money? is that $10 a month customer really raking in the money for you for one of your subscriptions. And when you look at Matt Damon had a really good explanation of this he was eating the hot wings. He was on the Hot Wings show, where when you didn't do well at the box office, you were able to fall back on the DVDs and the Blu-rays, or at the time there wasn't a lot of DVDs in the late 90s, but you could fall back on that. And before then, you'd fall back on rentals. Heck, I still remember this like yesterday. Office Space was not a success in the theater, but boy, it made over 100 million in rentals. I mean, imagine that. And then DVDs and VHS tapes. I remember that was the last VHS tape I watched, like a normal consumer, which is it was Office Space, and we don't have that anymore. Now it's you have it in the theater. You have a couple of films that will kind of come out of the abyss a little bit, Oppenheimer, Barbie, but it's not. It's even Mission Impossible. It was a great movie, but it didn't do well.
Yeah, and the only way it's going to break even is because it just won a lawsuit from an insurance company. So there's a possibility that could break even because it was like $70 million that they're recouping back for it or something like that. So even with that, they could be only breaking even at best.
So you have Tom Cruise doing a popular franchise and during the summer where there's only 3 movies really that were big movies, yet it didn't make enough money. So what's next,
So
guys?
Joe and Gerald, you're both businessmen. You understand the industry a lot better than me and most folks. So Gerald, you said that Mission Impossible was going to break even. My
There's a
guess is,
possibility.
yeah, my guess is if you two gentlemen poured a lot of money into a movie, you wouldn't want to see it break even. You'd
Well, the
want to
thing was, remember,
double or triple your money that
well,
you've invested, right? That's
yeah.
kind of what the problem is, right, Gerald? A lot of these venture capitalists, they just forked over as much money as they wanted to when things were riding high, like between 14 and 19, right? Now everything's kind of dried up.
Well,
And
Mission Impossible, I can tell you that it's never with a movie. It's never just cut and dry. If the movie makes $600 million right on the dot, the film company does not bring in $600 million. Remember, they got to pay theater owners, they got to pay other concessions and fees and things of that nature, distributions, as far as especially internationally. They have to pay other small companies that actually are responsible for distributing films. So many other things going. Plus, the fact is, how much did the movie cost? How much did it take to promote? Because usually, whatever it costs, you can usually tack on $50 to $150 million in promotion on top of that. So there you get your answer on how much of a movie needs to be, needs to make or not make in order for it to earn a profit.
And
Go ahead,
I asked this question about Netflix years ago. I said, so you're telling me, because I know the model of HBO, Showtime, and Cinemax. I knew that model for years because they're the big 3 for years. Cinemax, this is before Cinemax and Showtime really had shows anyways. It was more like HBO had shows, right? So it was a lot easier to, in my opinion, and from what I'm thinking, is it's easy to understand that there are people paying to watch The Sopranos or The Wire, these shows back in the late 90s and 2000s, and even before then, but I'm going to use those shows as an example because everyone knows what they are. I go, that made sense. Like you're going to go get HBO because I got to watch The Sopranos. Nowadays, are you really going to go, are they really paying for Netflix?
no, you're really not. You're really
They're already
not.
there.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
already
you're right,
been
Joe.
there.
You're right. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
you already have it. Suits came out. Who out of the 8 other 100 million people are going, oh, Suits?
That show was on USA for years, and it had a very small audience each and every year. Now, all of a sudden, it blows up on Netflix. So, I mean, the only thing you can do is hope that for winning time.
So what is that? Does that mean, okay, Suits is hitting big, right? It's hitting big. But and what does that mean? 2 million people are watching it every day. Okay. And then you
More.
look at okay, let's just use 2 million as an example. So
Okay.
2 million, how many of those 2 million signed on to Netflix because of Suits? What if it's only like 100,000 out of the 2 million? Then what? I
Yeah, it
don't
was
know.
most of the
I
people
don't.
are it's just because it was there. Which a lot of
This,
things why does Netflix get a lot of the stuff that's popular? Like some of these action movies that are really bad, but they go to number one. It's because it is there. And it's only new. Oh, it's something new on Netflix. I guess I gotta watch it.
I think
Oh,
the
that-
business model. I think the business model is just not good right now, and the strikes have made it even more apparent. The AI thing is a red herring in this thing. It's not the AI. It really isn't, because that doesn't make any sense. What would AI have? Oh, I don't want my likeness taken away. Well, that's an easy negotiation. Hey, listen, I don't care if it's AI or what. You use my likeness. This stuff's been going on for a while. You do that in the contract. Hey, anything with my likeness, you got to pay me. I think that's an easy negotiation. The issue is there isn't enough money to go around, or somebody's being greedy. But then at the same time, this time around, it doesn't look like it's greed, because when you read that Warner Brothers is 49 billion in the hole, my first thought is, who the hell is running the money in that place? 49 billion in the hole? Is that even real? I couldn't
and
even
just
understand.
well, just wanted to give you an update on it. It was Suits as of the 15th of this month has had over 3 billion viewership minutes to give you an idea. So
Okay,
that's
when you're
with the
not
B.
getting advertisement for those eyes, how do they make money from that?
Just subscriptions, my friend.
So
Although
the
no, wait,
subs-
there are some ad plans that they implemented in. That was something that they changed. There are some cheaper alternative ad supported
Well,
plans
and
as well.
and 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 let's be honest. Let's
But the
also
main one, the $17 or $18 a month that you pay,
also
is
remember
not ad
also
supported.
yeah, also remember, Joe, that because now, like, because of streaming and PVRs, right? A lot of advertising now is like subliminal. Like, it'll actually, like, you'll see a Coke can in the shot, like you were talking about, or you'll
Oh, but they've
see,
been doing that for
yeah,
decades, though,
yeah,
Magic, and
yeah, but it's more pronounced, more so than ever, Gerald.
they've been doing that since the '80s, my friend. '80s, where there's been tie-ins, and that they actually included that heavily in some blockbuster movies. I'm pretty sure you could point some out.
I know I saw Coke can in an episode of the Lord of the Rings.
Well, that was not supposed to be. Yeah, that
So
that's or a Starbucks cop.
yeah,
I get
yeah.
that in
So
Game of
I know
Thrones. Yes,
they're obviously not being subliminal enough.
yes,
I guess was what I meant. But
yes,
regardless, yeah,
yes.
great point, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, they're actually there are companies that they pay to be in these movies, especially if they feel it's going to be a big hit, and
Hmm.
yeah, that's worked out behind the scenes. But yeah, my friend, I'm hoping for that Winning Time will find a new life somewhere. I'm being realistic in my years covering the industry, pop culture cosmos. I don't hold out much hope on it because of the fact that Warner Brothers has been resistant on sending a lot of its shows somewhere else. They may send it to Netflix and it might find a life there. But B also as well, will it find a life beyond Lakers fans? That's the thing. In order for it to be a huge hit, Joe, it has to reach a general viewership outside of your Lakers fans in order to
Yeah, I
go
mean,
ahead and to really connect with an
look at
audience.
Air, right, Gerald? Look at
Yeah.
Air. That did not appeal to a mass audience. That was not a mass appeal film.
Yeah, it did not become a blockbuster. I think it earned
Well, I
less
think
than
the reason
$200
why
million
it didn't,
worldwide.
yeah, I think the reason why it didn't is I think we were expecting a story about the trials and tribulations of Nike, and it ended up being more of a typical Michael Jordan
Well, it was
uh,
well reviewed.
puff piece.
It's not
We
exactly
had to, yeah, it was a puff piece for Michael Jordan and his mother and all this, and I think people got kind of like, wait a minute, I thought this was supposed to be about
The
Nike,
story of Nike is Phil Knight and Sonny Vaccaro.
and those guys were not necessarily nice.
I mean,
Guys,
it's got a 73 on Metacritic, so it
Sonny
wasn't
Vaccaro
panned.
is a snake. You know, that's how you do what he did. You have to be a snake. And Phil Knight is a pandering ass.
I just couldn't relate
And
to it because
you
Matt
got
Damon
Ben
does not
Affleck
look
playing him.
anywhere
You could
near
have
Sonny
you could
Vaccaro.
have ran
No, he
away with
does
that.
not. Like Sonny Vaccaro, like Sonny Vaccaro does not look anything like Matt Damon. I'm
Not
sorry.
even
I'm
close.
sorry.
That's
He
why I
looks
could never
like the
get into
guy
it.
that played.
He looks
looks
like
like the-
Edward G. More like
He-
Edward G. Robinson than he does.
He looks like the guy who played Tark in Winning Time. That's who he looks like.
I remember the times
like
where I
a
used to
big,
see him,
like it's like a big head on a little body. That's
and I remember the times I used to see him on Roy Firestone's old talk show on ESPN. He would do appearances there. But you're right, Joe. How did he get all these players? He had to do maybe some questionable things from time to time in order to go ahead and really get these players to sign on the dotted line. And that's the part that they don't show you in air. They only show you, the magic of whatever happened to go ahead and get, to where we got with Air Jordans and the birth of Air Jordanism. So that's exactly what was supposed to be the appeal. And unfortunately, despite the fact it got decent reviews, it didn't hit with a mass audience the way that they hoped. But again, with Winning Time, it just, Joe, I'm hoping for success for it. Again, I like season
No,
two.
I think you're right. I don't think it's going to go anywhere.
I don't think it's up to WB. I mean, WB has leased out some of its shows on occasion, but I don't see them really getting behind this one. I don't know. Maybe hopefully we'll be proven wrong and it will find a life all its own somewhere else. But again, it has to appeal to more than just a Lakers audience, Sean and Joe, for it to become a massive worldwide hit. I mean, it was once, over 1 million people were watching it each and every week. And that was because I think it was finding an audience more that were interested in the drama and not just the Lakers part of it.
So what changed from season 1 to 2 then?
I just think it's the patience. I just think with viewers sticking, from one to the other, it just with them, they just saw it more as, again, if they just whatever reasons they had for maybe it's the time off between seasons, just based or something, the fact that they, like you said, they didn't promote it well, just to a casual audience, they just turned it out. They just turned it off and they stopped watching it. And I guess maybe the reason why is maybe they saw it as just the Lakers drama that was no longer interesting to them, or as Joe kind of puts this stuff out there.
I thought he was
just,
sleeping there for a second.
It just didn't connect with a audience that it needed to in order for it to survive. It's great with all of us, but again, we're seeing things from a Lakers centric point of view. And, if you read out there the reviews from a more generalistic standpoint, the reviews are a little bit more mediocre. But for us, I think for what it was, I liked it. And again, I hope I'm wrong. I hope you're wrong. And I hope it does find an audience somewhere else sometime soon. All right. But Joe, Sean, great show. Was able to go ahead and really get a lot out of this. Dwight Howard, we haven't heard yet if he's going to sign with Golden State, but he is meeting with them this week, so we'll see what happens there. Any thoughts on that, Joe?
Boy, they just keep going that route.
Older and shorter, my friend. In this case, they might get
why you
bigger,
don't
but
let
not by
players.
much.
These NBA benches are like our parliament and Congress. They just can't get rid of the old parts.
This is hilarious.
They can't get rid of the old parts.
Bob Myers builds you a dynasty, and this is how you thank him, right? You allow Steph Curry to run your team now. This is a Steph Curry call, right? Keeping Draymond, keeping Clay, right? These guys actually think they're going to win 2 more titles? How?
And if anybody thinks that getting
With
Chris
who?
Paul to help the team instead of the $30 million,
they have a better chance with
themselves.
Cliff Paul helping them than Chris Paul right now. With insurance. Geriatric insurance.
Should have kept they should have thrown backed up the Brinks truck for Bob Myers, kept Bob Myers on that. Yeah, he was the architect for all the success.
Something tells me there's going to be an early bird special, all right, between Draymond and Chris Paul. They're going to be fighting walkers this year.
He's not like
we have. Sorry, go ahead, Gerald.
I was just going to say that he's not like Bobby Marks, who has that bad Kevin Garnett trade always hanging over his head. Bob Myers has a ton of success, and he goes to ESPN. Over under, guys, on the number of years he stays at ESPN and doesn't go back into the league. I say 2.
I say 2.
Joe? I like that one. That was the sponsor of the Lakers 2 seasons ago.
Yep.
Stu says it best. He's been saying it for years. This is a young man's game. Now, you do have unfortunately, Klay Thompson's had some bad luck. Otherwise, he'd be right there with Steph Curry. But Steph Curry is the only one that you can say still has enough in the tank to be a part of a winning team. Klay is done. Klay is finished. Draymond has been finished for 2 years. And the fact that you insulted anyone's intelligence saying that we don't win 4 championships without Draymond Green. I'm like, dude, Draymond Green did everything possible for you to lose in 2022.
You should have another one if he wasn't so kick happy.
And yeah, there should be 5 championships if nut ass wasn't nut cracking.
He's right. He's right, ladies and gentlemen.
And you blame the refs. You blame the refs. You blame the league for his stupidity. You have a complete debauchery of a freaking season because he slaps a key contributor to your title win the year that he sucked. And this is the part that pisses me off about people. You are delusional. Most of you out there are in freaking la-la land with your BS because you're trying to support, you're trying to do this. Fine. You don't need to go on in public and criticize somebody. But don't give me the dog and pony show either when I know the truth. But then again, people don't say enough about it, right? They don't make it, hey, what the hell are you talking about? This guy was absolutely horrendous. You guys were down 2-1 because of him. You had to go into Super Saiyan mode, Steph Curry, to win this damn series. And the reason why you wanted to is that Boston couldn't make a shot. It was a combination of just good luck and the fact that you have Steph Curry, doing his thing. And that's his job. That's why he's one of the greats. So I don't know. I'm puzzled at this just nonsense of just yapping for just because they want to support, they want to feel good. I don't know. I've just never been down with it. But I'm looking forward to slapping them around again. I'm excited about that. So if that's what they want to be, CP3. I mean, come on, guys. Really? How many times are you going to watch this?
Well, we'll be covering that as soon as we get Golden State Warriors expert here. We'll be talking about that more in detail when we do a team preview of Golden State here, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. But before we end, I wanted to mention one last thing, Joe. You talked about disturbing trends. You mentioned last week in regards to the physical assaults that we've seen players do from all the sports leagues lately, and it's becoming seemingly more and more prevalent, and it's very unfortunate to see. One of the things I also wanted to note was because it was noted to me this past weekend with the Colorado State-Colorado game, very heated. There's a lot of jabbering back and forth, a lot of, crap talking back and forth. And the thing I wanted to ask you, Joe and Sean, before we head out, was one of the things was that dirty hit on the Hunter, the star player for the Colorado Buffaloes. He got hit out several weeks. The player who hit him, he and his family have received death threats since then, which the police are now investigating. And we've seen this more often in sports. And, we're in a situation ourselves, in a very much lower, but as we become more high profile, Joe and I are adamant on our thoughts. Sean is too, to an extent, but since Sean's so lovable and he's only had one person ever who talked smack on him and we kicked him right out, it's probably a lower percentage. And thank you so much, Intel. Truly, truly appreciate the super chat. But there is the possibility something you and I say as we get more higher profile could be interpreted the wrong way, or somebody just is pissed off and just wants to go ahead and take it out on us on whatever they're doing in their life. The thoughts on that, as far as you and I, or you or Sean or whatnot, having that possibility, because it seems like in sports, people are taking sports so seriously, they're taking it into their own hands.
Ye-
Go ahead, Sean.
Go,
No, Joe, you're ready to go. You got fired. Go.
It's excuse me. Sean and I talked about this off air. I think about
getting death threats.
No, about getting to a point where we might be tickling a few feathers, or at least I would be. And there's gonna possibility of you and him having to make a call that would maybe exclude me, because
Would never.
I know who I am.
Never
You
happen.
make that call every week.
Would never come down to that.
What do you mean? We'd say that we actually were planning it earlier today.
This is
Matthew.
nothing
That's no
new.
lie.
This is nothing new. And again, the beautiful thing
kidding.
about having your cards on the table is, at least it's from my life, is
right there, right there. Search and destroy center, right there.
Is that I avoid a lot of problems with my attitude because people don't like confrontation. Even those who kind of initiate it with their drama-filled, gossipy type garbage, they tend to stay away from people like me. And this issue with abuse, excuse me. Well, I'm not going to go into the solutions to those things because I don't want there to be a red flag on the show. But that's a lack of protection. It's a lack of awareness from those around those people.
But how despicable is it? They're posting the kid's phone number and the mom's address.
Those
and
people are,
and they're going after his mom.
Yeah, these people need to be vanquished. I mean, there's no other way to explain it. Going after someone who has nothing to do with this, these people need to be, I mean, these are the parasites of life, of society. These people are garbage. Trash actually has more value than these people's existence. And I'm trying to keep it really, really low because I actually wanted to say worse things because that's what they are. Attacking someone's mother is I don't even know what's lower other than physical abuse, right? Like other than physical abuse, that's as low and as pathetic and as sewage.
Okay, I guess it got so bad to the point where
anyone who knows.
We're losing you, Joe. That hotspot ain't so hot anymore.
Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah. You're back. Okay.
Yeah.
Right in the middle of a rant too. Go ahead, Joe.
Gerald.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah. So this kid, Henry Blackburn, I saw the play, Gerald. You know what? I remember one of our guys, he made an illegal hit too. It was pretty bad. But you got to take the good with the bad in football. He didn't mean it. Everybody came away not sore. It was in the heat of the moment. I'm with Joe.
Well, there was still some angry feelings over it.
Yeah,
let's just be honest.
Sure, but you also got to remember that these are 18, 19-year-old kids as well, Gerald, and dragging their families into it. I know Coach Norvell said it was sad. It's not sad. It's foolish and pathetic.
The thing is, though, I'm not saying we have to be as concerned about it, but let's take Stephen A. Smith or insert your highly paid mouth on any sports channel as far as this out there. You don't think they go through that for a living? You don't think that they have
day?
People,
yeah,
every day. That they probably got somebody saying that wants to go. I mean, Joe, he sometimes brings it on. He'll say something that says, if you don't like it, you know where I work, simblades with a y.com. I mean, he's really not hard to find. as far as that's concerned. They don't need to post his
Both
address
literally
or
and figuratively. The
they
man
don't need
is
to worry
not
about
hard to
posting his
find.
home address or his phone number or anything like that. If they
Oh
want to see
God.
Joe, they know where to find Joe. We say it like 15 times on the show, every show. With me though, it just, again, does it deter me from saying how I feel? No, and nor should it, because if you're really going to go out and try to really whack somebody for their sports views, I think that's just really mind-bogglingly numb, how you would throw away your life for just somebody like that. But as we get larger and larger, as we see these sports entities that are out there, just going off on people for just the minimal amount of things. Yes, this kid's injured. Yes, this kid's hurt. Yes, it was a low blow. But to go after like that, it's just something out there where society, I think, needs to understand and check itself that, come on, we might have been saying this stuff when we were on the sidelines and watching this 30 years ago, but now that we have social media, now that we have the internet, you're using it now and taking it a step further in a direction I don't like to see it go.
No, and Joe's right. People who go after other people's mothers should put their lips over their head and swallow.
If you tried to death threat my mom, first of all, at 90 years old, probably would have no clue what you're talking about. So it would just go whoosh, over the head there. So really, probably not the way to go for me. But Joe, again, this is something, again, we don't even have to worry about this, but we've gotten angry letters before for some people who've called me, you, Jamie, not Sean, but names, or have been angry with some of the things that we've said on the air. Just something we're dealing with. It's something we deal with on a daily basis. Or weekly basis. That's the issue. But I truly appreciate all the support from everybody out there that we do get. And you, forever, how many people don't like you, you've got a ton of people that still support you, even so.
Yeah, that's part of the game. It's part of the game, and at the end of the day, I'm not saying what I say to create that division. It's just there's going to be some people that don't
It's
like
how
the
you
delivery.
feel.
Yeah, and I'm with them too. By the way, I don't like listening to myself talk too, and there's shows that I'm doing. I'm like, God, ugh. Yeah, that's what it is. But people generally like what we're talking about. People like the rants. I told you, we saw what happened when I wasn't ranting after the trade deadline. I didn't have anything to rant about. They kept winning. What am I going to rant about? I'm not going to just rant to rant. Well, that's not what the audience wanted. Folks, we're in this business to give the audience what they want. This is
Go
not
rant
about,
on the mascot for the other team. How about that?
This is not, I mean, once you understand that, and the fact that this thing is building to where it's going, it's because we are feeding an entertainment value to these guys and gals that's what they want. And you have to give the audience what they want. That's the point of this. If they don't want you around and we have two people watching the show, then that's probably enough of a hint to say, guys, I don't think this is going to work. I mean, it's just that simple. It's a little easier to find out with this. And that's it. There's no other way to look at it. I have thought many a times on whether maybe I should scale back and be a little bit more, I don't know. The word professional sometimes hits into my head. Like, let me be more of a stealth professional in how I explain everything. I don't know. I go back and forth on whether I want to entertain or I want to just back up what I'm saying and just roll with that. That could be something that could work down the road. I don't know. But why not do both? I guess that's kind of how I look at it too.
Yeah,
but
you told me if you've ever had to change the way that you go ahead and communicate to the public that you're not doing this thing anymore.
No, that's truth. What's the point? If I have to scale back enough because we have to make sure the censors aren't going to go crazy. But that's normal stuff. That's like anything else. You can't say the F word more than once in a PG-13 movie.
Like if a radio station or radio stations actually would want to go ahead and bring
absolutely. Yeah. You can't. There's kids in the car. You can't be cursing and going crazy like that. That makes sense. And a lot of ways,
I would make sure I have a dump button right here.
And I'll be honest. No, I'll be honest. The cursing sometimes takes away from the dialogue too. I mean,
This is
there's
true.
good button. There's a button sometimes that you need, and that's fine. But ultimately, we should be able to still do what we need to do without the
Yeah,
dirty stuff.
you don't need to be like Joe Pesci, Lethal Weapon 4.
No. Okay. Yeah.
That's
Talk
funny.
about contrast in personalities. I mean, he going from a scary dude to the
You been
wimpiest
drinking
guy.
a little bit?
The car chase. You know what's so funny about the car chase in that film when they're supposed to be doing a car chase right outside LAX?
Right.
They actually filmed most of that here in Henderson on the
Really?
215.
Really?
You can tell because if you look at that, if you watch it back, you'll see a shot of the Luxor in the background. And I'll leave it at
Oh,
that.
Gerald,
I'll
I'm
look
gonna
for
have to
that.
watch this again now. Okay.
There's a shot of there's actually,
All
it's in the
right.
background. It's like, what is that pyramid thing? Like I actually, but yeah, the Henderson at that time, the 215 was actually not it was just brand new. Nobody was using it. And then they started, they used it for
So
a couple days to
that
film.
was 95, 96. So
Mhm.
that
It had just
highway.
opened. That
Oh,
highway
really?
had just opened.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was
Okay.
so easy to drive then, but now everybody's found it. So now it's just like everything else, bumper to bumper at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. But yeah, it's funny. If you go back and look at it, you can see it. Even if you're at it on the videotape, which at the time I did when I saw it, it's in the background there. Like, oh, really didn't take too much to hide that, did they? Yeah, didn't do a whole lot there. But great talking with everybody. We've been able to chat it up for 2 hours. Joe Soro joining us from LakersBall.com, and also as well, of course, everybody there at Simblades with a Y.com. So if you get mad, you know where to find them. But if you decide to go ahead and try to beat him up, can you at least buy some of his product, or at least try to get your lawn, get some new landscaping before you threaten him when you go down there? At least, please get him some money first. But before we head on out, I wanted to go ahead and ask you, Joe, what are the guys at Lakers Ball? How is the mood at Lakers Ball? I haven't asked you that in weeks. When can we get some Lakers Ball people over here, my friend?
I've been neglecting my crew over there.
They got to come
sad,
over
actually.
here and watch it. They used to in the past. Get them back over here. Laker Tom, he's on here all the time. Does he retweet anything about us on his thing? He retweets everything else. What's up with that?
Mm-hmm.
Promotion. I
Yep.
promote
Come
their
on.
stuff.
Come on, Tom.
Yeah.
Come on, Tom. This is
I
about
promote
cross
Lakers
promotion.
ball all the time.
Jamie, get on his ass. Do something with your life.
They still might do a Lethal Weapon 5, Kurt. I don't know. That's not 100%. You know these days, but they still might do that. I wouldn't put it past them, but
they better hurry because Joe Pesci's not getting any younger.
That's true. That's true. None of them are getting anything. Yeah. None of them are getting any younger. But Joe, yeah, what's the mood like at LakersBall.com?
I haven't really checked. I mean, I've been there at least once a day the last, few weeks, but there's not been a lot of dialogue on it. I haven't had a chance to go check it out a little bit here from today, but I'll talk to the crew. I'll let them know, hey, look, I want you guys involved in the show a little bit more during the season. Let me know if there's anything I can do.
Okay. Fair enough. Get them back over here. It should be nice if they did. And then again, Laker Tom, if you're listening, try posting some of our episodes. I can't post anything anymore on Lakerholics.com. I've told you there's errors on the site that won't let me do so, and viruses that are going around in that site for me. Anyways, I can see it fine on my mobile, but I can't on my PC. So come on, get it fixed, my friend. Get it fixed, indeed. But once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro from LakersBall.com, and of course, everything that's out there going on with Simblades with a Y.com, and Magic Man, Sean Grice, who does such a great job for us here at the Lakers Fast Break. Guys, any last thoughts on the way out? Winning time, rest in peace. Just, that's...
Rest in peace. It's great while it lasted.
Yeah, absolutely. Joe? Yeah? I didn't know Biombo had signed a German contract. That was interesting. So thank you for the update on that.
Yeah.
The
Wunderbar.
Wunderbar.
You're not on the Lakers. Wunderbar.
That's what they'll say when they see him shooting free throws. Wunderbar. That's indeed.
Wonder no.
Yeah. Wonder brick. But it is the Lakers Fast Break.
Fun
Truly
to die.
appreciate it. Lakers in 5. You've got a great channel yourself. Go ahead and check out what Lakers in 5 is always doing. Truly appreciate all the stuff that he does. He just did a great show earlier today. Empire Jeff TV. He also did a show on Winning Time. He had some very good thoughts, very poignant thoughts on it, plus an article. Our good friend John McCallion. Truly appreciate it. But guys, great to have you here. Looking forward to another great show tomorrow night. Clippers coming up on Wednesday. Hopefully I get some more good news with the Grizzlies and also a Thunder show, hopefully coming up in the near future as well. Some really great stuff we got on the road for you as we got coming up in a little less than 3 weeks. Of course, training camp. It's almost that time. You've gone through us with the summer. Keep going through us with us a little bit more. We'll be here for you right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.
What be a lady tonight? What be a lady tonight?
You know, you only say that because you found out how to do that at the end of the show as we're leaving.
No, I didn't do that. I knew it the whole time.
I'm sure you did.
Don't talk back